department and is been marketing. But I want to believe that marketing in itself, in different establishments, must have different strategies, right? So how has it been, your journey, first of all, been like, transitioning into these different roles in different organizations? How has that been for you?
Okay, so you are right. I have been a brand manager. I think the first 15, 15 or so years of my career was purely brands, FMCG, BAT, Coca-Cola for about 10 years or so in total, right? Almost that. And then on to Airtel. But I think the difference is, one, the product itself. So there are basic principles of marketing. Anybody who's a brand manager will tell you the 4 Ps, the 6 Ps, whatever, right? But the product, the uniqueness of the product, the uniqueness of the customer, the industry knowledge, right, is something that is different. You keep learning, you keep improving on those things, right? And so my journey has been one that has exposed me to different industries. It's very diverse. So in as much as I've been a brand manager that sold Benson and Hedges, selling water is slightly different. Understanding above the line marketing, understanding activations that were open, free and fair, unlike tobacco, right, made me have to learn a different kind of skill. When you are in an FMCG business and a brand manager, you don't just sit down and work out strategies. I think AK would understand this in a way in the bank when you talk about product managers. When you are in an FMCG business, you also are arm in arm with a salesperson. So you start to learn a bit about sales, and you start to collaborate with salespeople, and you start to understand the techniques of, the steps of the call. What do you do with your trade members? How do you incentivize the trade? You start to look at value chains and, value chain management, value chain marketing. So it now gets a lot more robust, a lot more complex, right? And so every experience for me, and that's what I try to say when I wrote about myself, is that every experience for me brings a new challenge. Every experience has a new piece of knowledge, a new relationship that I must leverage. And my goal has always been to be a general manager. And the general manager for me means that you will be at the business end of things. You would also be at the corporate communications, corporate brand image management end of things. So you have to straddle both. If not, you really cannot be a general manager and run a business. And that ultimately is for me. I want to sit on a board before I'm 50. Right? And so if that's my objective, I must be able to understand a business in totality. So a marketing manager is where I started. Now I'm in retail and I'm pushing retail products. I'm understanding retail business in a bank. It's a completely different ballgame from where I started.
Yeah. So Chioma, I know that you're a high flyer, you're a high performer. There is in all the industries where you have worked, you're a high flyer. So I'm just thinking, what will make a high flyer in media just leave and say, okay, I want to work in a bank, apart from the dream of becoming general manager, because you can't be a general manager in media, but what gave you that gumption to just leave a familiar territory to a non-familiar territory on charted waters?
Okay, so like I said, I was always a brand manager, right? But when you manage a product, and you would know this, AK, you're literally, sometimes it becomes like tunnel vision. You're like only focused on your product. Worst case, you're focused on a portfolio of products. But you never quite see the impact on the total business, do you? You never quite see how all these impacts out of the bottom line, how every piece comes to play.